Da 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 da! What's my good cheer? Welcome, welcome, everybody. Let's give YouTube a couple of minutes to get those notifications out. In the meantime, if you've never popped into one of my lives before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. And in all honesty, it's to each one of us who goes into a content creators, right? Creations, their ideas, and to sit in and to decide for yourself what is a truth and what is an untruth. And to lead us into that, I'm going to say today is Monday. Usually we randomly pick a powerful word and we delve into that word all week long. I'm going to do something a little bit different this week. I have actually, if you don't know, we've been delving into powerful words. I am picking 54 powerful words that we are randomly picking, and we are working with it for a week. But also, at the end of that process of picking those 54 words, we're going to put a deck together, right? It's not tarot cards or anything like that, but it's insights because these are powerful words and these words mean a lot. They mean a lot to me. And I think as the world moves forward, I think they would benefit quite a bit in, giving a little bit of possibilities, a little bit of belief in something. And that's what the word we're going to pick this week. Like I said, I was going through my powerful words and I had to write them down. My notes are so messed up. I've got dinner on this, I've got coffee on this, I've got every day looking at it. I have highlighter marks, I have scribbles. I think I have somebody's phone number on this page. And we are in our 40th word, right? So that's 40 weeks of this little school notebook being trashed in front of me. So I was having a difficult time in getting those words. I wanted to write them all down because I am channeling, right? The the cards. I'm using the powerful words, but the message coming through, I'm leaving that to the other parts of me because I'm a student myself. I'm a student in this process just as much as anybody popping in. And again, I get that choice of what I believe for myself, what I believe might be beneficial, even if I'm not truly wearing that outfit myself, that, it is information. And even though it might not be pertinent in my life, that somewheres down the road, it might be very pertinent to somebody else. So I do take in a lot of information, and maybe that's just my cover up as to why I take in so much information, right? I love learning new things, right? Uh, it gives me different perspectives and it does help me to believe. It does help me to digest some things that might seem, I don't know, way out there, unrealistic, because I am a realist by heart. Neither religious, I'm not spiritual, but I'm also not an idiot. I understand that I am in my own very unique experience, an experience that I'm being asked to believe. And so being asked to believe, well, that requires Cindy. And Cindy, in her hypervigilance, right? Because I am very hypervigilant. I want to I want the facts, right? I want the evidence. And I'm being asked to digest. I'm being asked to believe in something outside of anything I've ever experienced before now in this process, right? I am experiencing and I am compounding that belief. But this week, right, I wanted to do this word again, belief. It was our 10th word. And during that week, right, obstacles, failures, right? Problems that we are meant to figure out for ourselves. That was one of those weeks for me. And I could not get my editor to work for me for my life, right? I had no idea. I was crashing my computer right and left. I was rebooting it and putting fresh window. It was a brand new laptop worth thousands of dollars. And I'm low income. It wasn't an investment that I could afford to experiment with that I had right even the knowledge to get out those tools and right it was a lot of googling and I did the very best that I could right in resolving that problem for myself, but I understand I don't have all the answers, and even if I did have that answer, it wouldn't have been through that expertise that I have. It was something that came across my path, and we're gonna hit that red button and see if it works, right? And so I handed off my laptop to a dear friend, and I asked if he would give me a hand and see if he could figure out what I was getting wrong. In that process, my laptop was gone, and I adapted. I conquered. I show up fresh like a loaf of bread every single day, right? So the show must go on. I didn't even have a proper camera. I had a an old webcam that was like 300. It wasn't even high definition. It was just really 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 bad. And I worked with that. I worked with my phone and I did my live shows with my phone, but I didn't like that the phone was vertical, right? I didn't like that. I like this, right? This is how I like to digest my content. It's how I would like to present my content, right? And is in this, right? This 1080. So I messed up that whole week. And we had this word that was super, super, super important to me. Like when it comes to those powerful words, it was the 10th word that I picked. But not only was it the 10th word that I picked, it was the ninth word. It was the ninth word that I had written down, the ninth powerful word that I had written down. And, when I wrote down these, I sat here one afternoon and I decided that I was going to do this podcast, that I was going to work on these 54 powerful words, that I was going to show up every single day and I was going to take in my lessons and, right, we were going to have fun with it. It was a lot more work that I had expected, that I had anticipated. But you know what? In getting into it and in actually putting in that work and in actually following through and showing up every single day, in adapting and conquering through all the problems and issues that I was having, in my own naivety, right? My own lack of confidence sometimes, in that procrastination of, oh my goodness, what are we going to talk about tonight? Right? And that just shows the lack of preparedness in that, because at any point, I could have taken in lessons. I'm taking in lessons constant. In fact, right now, well, it is a lesson that I'm taking in, but I'm actually watching a documentary on the very first pharaoh of Egypt, female pharaoh of Egypt, 3,000 years ago. They called her the crocodile princess. You know, when you look at the hi, hieroglyphics and you see their gods, and you see that one god with the alligator head, that was her god, right? She was the crocodile princess, and her name was Neferu. Neferu. Now, of course, being an Egyptian, it would have been pronounced a lot differently. This is a shorter, easier version for me to be able to pronounce and to maybe possibly remember down the road. Okay, we're going to pull it right back to the main branch, and we're going to come into the topic tonight. You know, we're not going to work with the first impression because I knew last night that we were going to do this word believe again. It's an important word. I didn't go over that week's videos and take those lessons in again. I thought maybe we would just start off fresh because I was messed up that week, right? I was stressed out about the laptop. I was stressed out about how I was going to come in and do my lives. I was probably dealing with stuff at work. It was a week a pushback, right? Now, I understand now that I have to push back against that pushback. I think that week that we had that word believe, right? I might not have been prepared for that pushback. It pushed at me and I just immediately caved in, right? Or just said, huh, it is what it is, and just accepted it for what it is. And then the week ended, and there really wasn't any lessons that week. No lessons for myself to come back in and take in, right? I didn't want to watch my lives that week. They were just awful. They were just awful. And I'm certain that the people that, I'm grateful that I had people who care about me, right? But I'm sure they didn't care about that powerful word that week either. But it is a powerful word, and it's a very, very important word, because it's a word, and you guys hear me say this all the time, that I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for that compounding belief in a lot. I'm not saying all those lessons, because I take in a lot of lessons. I am I am asked to take in the lessons, but I'm not always directed to believe in the lessons, right? Right? And because this is my journey, and because even though, right, I understand we are in heavy topics, that a lot of these topics that I delve into kind of bleed into other areas of life and other areas of belief. And being somebody who's a realist, who's being asked to believe in some of these lessons, to trust that if I believe, that if I invest my time and actually absorb the conversations, absorb the experience, to sit and contemplate the why. Why was there such a pushback that week in everything that I did? Was it because I had the word believe, that I had picked that word and we were going to work with it all week? And, right, that pushback was coming from something or someone that doesn't want me to believe, or doesn't want me to bring that topic of believe to the table, and possibly inspire or motivate somebody to have a little bit of belief in themselves. So many of us have such a lack of belief in ourselves. It boggles my mind now, in having a little bit of belief, to look back at my life and look back, right? Just even to a half a dozen years ago, because I didn't wake up to any of these ideas until well into my 50s, right? But to be able to look back at my life and see how little belief I truly had. Like, how did I even make it here, right? Well, it was the lessons. Might not have been all the lessons, but in the prerequisites of taking one lesson in, right? If you're taking that lesson in, there is that attachment of belief to it, because you've taken it in, you've digested. Now we're playing with it to see how it can settle into our lives and how it can settle into the environment that I live in, the people that I surround myself with, right? And even the people that come across my path. These are things that I'm being asked to believe and to trust, right? That it will be manifested in truth if I just move with it, if I don't give up, if I just push back at what's pushing me. Just like that week when my laptop was going and we had this word belief. And right, I got through it. You maybe even came in and kept me company and you got through it. But that's all that happened, is he just got through it. It wasn't powerful enough, right, for it to make an impact on me, let alone anybody else. So, yesterday when I was making my list, just to make sure that I had all these powerful words in numeral order, and it could have easily been a different story, because we're right, we've done 40 words already, or we're going into our 40th word, not this week but next week, because we're doing our 10th word again today, and again tomorrow, and again for the rest of the week. And that week is belief. So, I'm hoping and I'm optimistic that those other parts of me that might have had a different experience, right, with this word belief. Not saying that my experience is any less, but maybe there's not as much experience with the word belief. So I'm going to ask those other parts of me. Maybe, right, you'll pop in and, right, you are that belief person, and you'll come in and you'll give us an earful in that. Give us that opportunity to maybe believe in something different, because, right, we believed in something different our entire lives, right? A lot of these conversations that we have here, right, on this channel, I wouldn't have had these conversations even maybe 2 years ago, even, right? That's how new this is for me. This is me stepping my foot in the cold water, working my way up the waist, and right up to the neck, and then to finally, possibly, optimistically, just dunk my head under that water, and then possibly, right, resurface with a true belief in everything because my beliefs are there. I truly believe that there are beliefs there. But sometimes it's in that belief that we should be that person to bring it to the table, or we should be that person to voice that opinion or to course correct somebody, right? And sometimes that's difficult because there are lots of people out there who would consider themselves expert on the topic of belief, right? They would be more than happy to whip that word away from me and take charge. And again, right? I leave the comments open here if you have something to contribute. And I suspect that my crew from Chatters Live on Sunday nights, some of them will be in this week, right? To help me out with that. I'm very grateful for that. I don't have all the answers. I rely on those kindnesses that come across my path. I rely on those beliefs that I have taken on as my own, right? Because I have been in the lessons, right, for a while. Enough that I could pick and choose those few things that I know that I'm solid in, or those ideas that I grew up with as a child, right? Recognizing the difference of what I was being not asked to believe because I am now being asked to believe. But at that time, I didn't really have a choice, right? I was just kind of riding those waves. I was keeping my head afloat. I was adapting. I was conquering. And I was appeasing, right? Appeasing other people in their beliefs by following suit. In these past half a dozen years, I have been given an opportunity to search out answers for myself. And searching out answers for myself, I have bumped into amazing characters with amazing content. Content that has impacted me and inspired me and motivated me to never give up, right? To push back at what pushes me. And this word belief, right, belongs to the belief guy, one of my very first mentors that I had come across online. And he impacted me greatly. And if I didn't come back in and rehash this word belief, I don't know. I'm working on these problems and these limiting beliefs and in these compounded ideas of guilt and shame that tend to surface in me, right? And I believe that if I neglected to come back in, or if I didn't, because we have been picking some of these words a second time and going over the words again, only because they haven't been absorbed properly the first time. This is the way I think, right? This is the way that I believe things come across my path for a reason. Just like yesterday when I was going over the words and right. And then I looked at believe and there was so much mess on this book that I couldn't even tell what was the first word, second word. Like I couldn't figure out the order. I actually had to go into my podcast, go actually into the videos, and manually through the videos write the word down from each week. When I came to the video content that we did that week of Believe, I instantly knew. I remembered, right? The thumbnails were all messed up, right? Because I had my app for my phone. I couldn't even be bothered. I was so, right? I was so into the problems and so into the disaster of that week that I guess maybe I didn't care, right? I didn't care. It's right. It was in that hopelessness and that worried state that I was in that made it so that, right, my mind was focused on other things. But yesterday, when I came across it, it was instant. I knew instantly that starting Monday, starting today, that we were going to work all week on this word believe. That right? That was my pushback. That week it pushed on me. Right? I didn't push back that week. I just kind of caved in and let the week manifest the way it wanted to. And in all actuality, in all truth, I think it was more than a week, right? Before I got my laptop back and things started to settle down and I was able to carry on with my 54th word or my 54 words, the next word, the 11th word, and just totally, right? Pretended the 10th word didn't even happen. Didn't it, right? We're going to pretend it's in. Believe made it into the 54 words. It's in. It's the 10th word. Not only was it in, but it made it to the top 10. It's right. It's going to be right up there in the cards. And yet I was just like, oh God, thank God, the week's over. Right? The week's over. I'm never gonna look at that again. Going in yesterday and I saw the mess that I had made that week. It was a no-brainer. We are doing, right, the word believe again this week for the second time. This is one of the very most important words in my movement because I'm being introduced to ideas and movement and knowings and work, work and dazzle and amaze and just things that I never even knew existed. And yet, like I said, I'm being asked to believe, right? I'm being asked to absorb some of these words into my system and to take it seriously, right? I thought this 54 words was going to be fun and games. It was just going to add content to my brand. Didn't quite work out that way, did it? But I love it. I love it because it's so full of movement. It's content. Again, it's content. But those lessons, right, that we pick up along the way, they're going to serve us for the rest of our lives if we believe in them. If we believe in them, right, that means we're going to have to put them into action into our lives. So I'm optimistic by the end of this week, right? Belief is going to be even more compounded into my system, that I'm actually going to have a better idea of what I do believe in, right? I'm neither religious, I'm neither spiritual, but I do understand, right, that this is a world that needs to be believed in and that it's very, very big world. Like so big, right? And it makes me wonder why? Why is this stuff never come across my path, right? Up until half a dozen years ago. So these are compounded questions I've had for all these past 7 years because I was right. What I didn't know didn't hurt me. Yes, it did. What I didn't know certainly did hurt me. But why? Why was there no belief in my system? Why was there no consideration for the possibilities? I was a daydreamer. I had a great imagination. I had that creativity in me, but I didn't have any belief in me. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe in, well, the life lessons, right? Because I am a realist at heart, right? I didn't, and when I say the life lessons, I mean the potential, right? The possibilities of something better, right? I was in the low of the lows. And when I was in the low of the lows, I truly felt that I was partnered in that, right? The low and the lows, right? We were joining forces because we belong together. So we're going to find out a little bit this week about what we truly believe in, right? Because we should be moving with what we believe in. We should be sharing, right? We should be sharing what we believe in. And I believe I do that, right? I might not have my beliefs compounded in a way that it is part of the majority, which might be a little bit uncomfortable. But at the same time, that makes me a unique, that makes me an individual. It makes me my own person, and it makes it my choice. And I don't think I could ask for anything more than that for this week at the very least. I'm optimistic that we're going to delve a little bit deep. I'll be showing up here fresh every day, but at the same time, I will be delving in and I will be paying attention to what comes across my path. And in that moment, I will, through my understandings and through the beliefs that I have in that moment, make the movement that I might see fit in that moment, right? Not saying that that belief will be forever because life is always changing. I am always changing. What the world needs is always changing. What I'm offering up, what I'm offering up here on my channel, I'm optimistic if we get this right in the next lifetime, I'll be able to show up in whatever fashion, if we're in the digital age or right, if we're talking through sound waves, whatever it is, that I will be able to believe that whatever it is that I move into next, that it will be the right bit of movement because I've taken the prerequisites, right? That I've gotten myself to this stage that makes it possible that I can take in this lesson, right? Lots of times we want this lesson, but we're way, 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 way down here. And then we take those leaps and we don't even get close to it. And when we don't get close to it, what happens? Right? We lose that sense of belief that we can even try, right? Sometimes we lose ourselves. Sometimes we give up, right? Right? And just even if you're always staying here, but just keep practicing that jump into that lesson there. Eventually, right? With practice, like going for the gold medal in the Olympics, eventually you'll be able to make that leap from year to year. But what about all those lessons that are from here to here, right? Maybe every once in a while you might have landed on one. Ouch. Right? But for the most part, You're bypassing because this is the only one that you're interested in, right? So when you hear me talk about prerequisites, it's all about what's in between here, right? We're not looking to miss out on the lessons, and we very easily could have missed out. And oh my goodness, that would have been on me. That would have been on me, and that would have been a little bit of embarrassment to me too, right? That of all the powerful words that we had and there's lots of powerful words, right? Right? But this powerful word is very important to me, right? And so for me, it would have been a little bit embarrassing to move forward to knowing that I had bypassed lessons, right? Just because I was frustrated with the week or I was worried about how things were going to work out or if I didn't have the right apps and the right setups and the right thumbnail. I'm proud that I showed up every single day that week. I'm grateful that in those lessons of never giving up, in adapting and conquering, because I certainly adapted and conquered that week. Even if I didn't get one belief, right, compounded into my own being, let alone somebody else's. I still showed up. So for that, I am grateful, right? And I'm grateful for yesterday and recognizing that week being the mess that it was. And I'm grateful for myself in recognizing that it needs to be done again, right? We do things not always right here, right? Right? Things come across our paths. We'll work with it in the moment. And then spectacularly, something falls in our lap and we get an opportunity to do it again, right? It's not a 360, right? It is a 180 because we're just going to work with it with the tools that we have on our tool belts in this moment, knowing that we picked up those tools along the way. And I've got some tools in belief, right? I've got some stories in belief. I have some perspectives in belief now. And you know what? Some of those perspectives that I was asked to digest were amazing perspectives, and they weren't my perspectives. So maybe we could share some other perspectives. So this week we're working on the word belief. That was not a first perspective, like I said, right? I knew yesterday that today we were going to, right, munch down on this word again. I don't know how we're going to serve it up tomorrow. I'm going to see what comes across my path, right? It's usually how I work with that. But at the same time, I understand nothing gets done without us actually putting in the work, putting in that action. So I'll be in the lessons myself. Okay, you guys. Hair's dry. Now it gets tied up. I'm going to take in a couple of lessons, call it a day. We will be back tomorrow with a new conversation, a new experience, possibly a new lesson in this word, believe. Everybody, have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow.